chapter 120, functions of the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus, it has a very small size. It weighs about only 4 grams and comprises of less than 1% of the brain mass. It has a two-way communicating pathway system with all levels of the limbic system. In turn, the hypothalamus and its closely allied structures send output signals in three directions. One is backward and downward to the brainstem, especially the reticular formation, and then upward towards the higher cortical areas of the cerebral cortex, and the third way is into the upward also into the anterior thalamus and limbic portions, and also into the hypothalamic infundibulum to control or partially control most of the secretory functions of both the posterior and anterior pituitary glands. Okay, so now coming to the vegetative and endocrine control of functions of the hypothalamus, it controls several systems of the body. So here we can see that there is an area called the lateral hypothalamic area consisting of the lateral hypothalamic nucleus. We need to remember that it has thirst centers and hunger centers. That means if you stimulate that centers, the lateral areas, what happens is you feel more thirsty, you feel more thirst, and also you feel hungry. Okay, so coming to cardiovascular regulation. So stimulation of different areas throughout the hypothalamus can cause many neurogenic effects on the cardiovascular system. So stimulation of the posterior and remember one thing, stimulating the dorsomedial nucleus, okay, what it does is it's in lower animals, not in humans, it causes behaviors such as hissing and aggressive behaviors, and it is called sham rage behavior, okay. So that means there is an increase in blood pressure. So stimulation in the posterior and lateral hypothalamus increases the arterial pressure and the heart rate, whereas stimulation in the preoptic area often has opposite effects. Remember, the lateral hypothalamus, it increases thirst, it increases hunger, and moreover, because it increases hunger, it is the neuropeptide is orexin, okay. It also makes you eat more, crave food more, okay. So it increases your arterial pressure and heart rate because you're active, you're wakeful, okay. Whereas stimulation in the preoptic area often has opposite effects, causing a decrease in both heart rate and arterial pressure. The preoptic area is what is stimulated to cause sleep, okay. In the sleep-wake cycle, the wake part is controlled by the lateral hypothalamic part, and the preoptic area controls the sleep part. And then coming to the body temperature regulation, the anterior portion of the hypothalamus is especially the preoptic area is concerned with the regulation of body temperature, and it causes heat loss when it is stimulated by excess heat. So an increase in temperature of the blood flowing through this area increases the activity of temperature sensitive neurons, and it causes sweating, it causes panting, and you do that to actually lose heat. And there is also vasodilation that happens if the the temperature of the blood reaching the anterior hypothalamus is increased. If the temperature decreases, then what happens is the posterior hypothalamus is activated, and then through mechanisms such as shivering and vasoconstriction, your heat is maintained, it is conserved in the body, okay. And also the thirst center is located in the lateral hypothalamus. When the fluid electrolytes in this area they become too concentrated, the animal desires to drink more water, okay. Control of renal excretion of water, however, is maintained by the supraoptic nuclei. Remember one thing, the hypothalamus in relation to the posterior pituitary, there are two nuclei. One is supraoptic nuclei and another one is the paraventricular nuclei. Okay, the paraventricular nuclei secretes pitocin or vasopressin, whereas the supraoptic nuclei, pitocin or oxytocin, whereas supraoptic nuclei it secretes vasopressin or ADH, antidiuretic hormone. So when the body fluids become too concentrated, the neurons of these areas, they become stimulated. Nerve fibers from these neurons, they project downward through the infundibulum into the posterior pituitary gland, and these nerve endings, they secrete the hormone, antidiuretic hormone, which is also called vasopressin, and it is then absorbed into the blood, transported to the kidneys. It acts on the collecting ducts to cause increased reabsorption of water, which decreases the formation of urine, okay. And now coming to the regulation of uterine contractility, as I said, the paraventricular nuclei, they secrete pitocin or oxytocin. Oxytocin, it causes increased contractility of the uterus and also myoepithelial cells of the breast alveoli, which causes ejection of the milk, okay. And at the end of pregnancy, especially large quantities of oxytocin are secreted, and this helps in parturition. So when the baby suckles the mother's breast, there is a neuroendocrine reflex signal sent from the nipple to the posterior hypothalamus, which also causes oxytocin release, and also the milk ejection happens now. And then coming to gastrointestinal feeding regulations, you have several areas of the hypothalamus. So one area associated with hunger is in the lateral hypothalamic area. So what happens is stimulating this lateral hypothalamic area increases your desire to eat, increases hunger, okay? Causes a voracious appetite. Damage to this area on both sides causes the animal to lose desire for food, sometimes causing lethal starvation. And opposite to the lateral area, in the ventromedial nucleus of the hypothalamus, there is a satiety center. So when you stimulate the ventromedial nucleus of the hypothalamus, the satiety center that is, so when you stimulate the satiety center, you feel that you have eaten enough food, so you don't feel like eating any more food. So the animal that is eating food suddenly stops eating and shows complete indifference to food. So if this area is destroyed bilaterally, the animal cannot be satiated. Instead, its hypothalamic hunger centers, they become overactive, so it has a voracious appetite and it results in tremendous obesity, okay? When you talk about the hypothalamus and its relation with the gastrointestinal regulation, you need to mention the arcuate nucleus, which contains at least two different types of neurons that when stimulated lead to either increased or decreased appetite. One neuropeptide released by the arcuate nucleus is neuropeptide Y, okay? So this causes an increase in hunger, whereas another one secreted is called alpha MSH, alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone. And what this does is this is responsible for decreasing your appetite. Okay. So then coming to the hypothalamic control of circadian rhythms. Mainly remember that circadian rhythm is controlled by the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Okay. Suprachiasmatic for circadian. Okay. So for example, if you consider the ACTH, so its secretion is highest at 5 a.m. in the morning and least at 3 p.m. in the evening. Okay, these circadian rhythms of hormonal release or synthesis or whatever is controlled by the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. Okay, and these signals, that is of light, signals of light and darkness that stimulate these rhythms, that maintain these rhythms, they are called Zeitgebers. Okay, now coming to the hypothalamic control of endocrine hormone secretion by the anterior pituitary gland. So basically, the anterior pituitary gland receives its blood supply mainly from blood that flows first through the lower part of the hypothalamus and then to the anterior pituitary vascular sinuses. So as the blood it courses through the hypothalamus before reaching the anterior pituitary, certain specific releasing and inhibitory hormones are secreted into the blood by various hypothalamic nuclei. These hormones are then transported via the blood to the anterior pituitary gland, where they act on the glandular cells to control the release of specific anterior pituitary hormones. Okay. And now coming to the behavioral functions of the hypothalamus and associated limbic structures. So effects caused by stimulation of the hypothalamus. As I said, stimulation in the lateral hypothalamus, it increases thirst, it increases eating, and it also increases the general level of activity of the animal. Okay. It increases your blood pressure and all that. And now coming to stimulation in the ventromedial nucleus, where your satiety center is located, it causes effects opposite to that caused by lateral hypothalamic stimulation. That is, there is a sense of satiety, decreased eating and tranquility. And coming to the stimulation of periventricular nucleus, what happens is it leads to fear and punishment reactions. Remember, periventricular for fear and punishment reactions. And sexual drive can be stimulated from several areas of the hypothalamus, and again stimulating the dorsomedial nucleus of the hypothalamus in lower animals causes behaviors such as hissing and other aggressive behaviors, and it is called sham aggression, sham rage. Okay. Now effects caused by hypothalamic lesions, the opposite effects will happen now. So bilateral lesions in the lateral hypothalamus will decrease drinking and eating to almost zero, that is lethal starvation. Whereas bilateral lesions of the ventromedial areas, they cause effects that are mainly opposite to those caused by lesions of the hypothalamus. Okay, lateral hypothalamus. That is, there is excessive drinking, excessive eating, a voracious appetite, which leads to obesity ultimately. So that's it. Thank you. And this is a diagrammatic representation of all the nuclei. Okay, the mammillary body for feeding reflexes and all that. Okay.